the game. You don't play to just play it. Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40! Can't wait! Let's go!
Good morning and welcome. It is Coffee and Sports. It is the morning show here on Sports Empire Network. I am Chris, and of course, that is Mo. Mo, how's your Friday going, sir?
I'm loving it so far. Coming off a crazy Sunday, crazy Thursday. And guess what? We talked about what we wanted to see in the football game last night. I got to say, the Raiders delivered times 10. I was highly impressed with what they did. I don't think nobody saw them dropping 63 points, but it blew me away.
So, Mo, last night, I'm surprised the Raiders didn't do it. I mean, they tried. They were calling timeouts late in that game. They scored their 63rd point with about 14 minutes to play in the fourth quarter. So at that point, you're like, they're at least going to get 70, right? Like, they're going to get one more touchdown. And then at that point, they're going to make a run at it. They're going to make a run at the record. And, you know, the Chargers started to put together some scoring drives. The defense stepped it up a little bit. Raiders are calling timeouts like with 5 minutes to play in the game. And you're like, oh, they want 70. They at least want to say they hung 70 on somebody as well. It didn't turn out that way. But, Mo, I think what you saw last night is you saw a tale of two head coaches. You saw a Raiders team that is rallying around Antonio Pierce and clearly wants Antonio Pierce to be their head coach next season. And it wasn't just last night's game. I mean, they played well against the Dolphins. They've won games with Antonio Pierce that, you know, Raiders fans didn't think they were going to win. They've been competitive. And this is all with somebody who, let's be honest, probably isn't going to be their quarterback next season. I'm not saying they're going to go back to Jimmy G, but what I am saying is this kid probably isn't their guy. They're probably going to seek other quarterback options next season. Now, unfortunately for Antonio Pierce, I don't think he can survive if Harbaugh or Belichick want to go there. And I don't know if any of those things are going to happen, but those are going to be the two big names out there on the NFL coaching free agent market. And Las Vegas is a big market to coach in.
Absolutely.
So, unfortunately, Mo, if either of them shows interest, I don't think he overcomes that. But aside from that, I think he has a great shot at being their head coach next season.
And he deserves the opportunity. You pointed out something that is so true. The team has rallied around him since he's taken the reins. But you also brought up the reality of the NFL and the reality of the Raiders owner, Mark Davis. He loves the big, shiny things. And Antonio Pierce is deserving. That doesn't mean if Belichick is available or Harbaugh is available, he will not be the Raiders head coach. I don't think so. I think he should be. But if you know what Mark Davis is, if you know how Mark Davis thinks, he's going to go for the bigger name. He's going to go for the flash. And unfortunately, that's going to be at the expense of Antonio Pierce.
Then there's the other side. There's the downward turn of this tale of two head coaches. And the downward turn produced a very awkward at times and a very difficult to watch press conference last night when Chargers head coach Brandon Staley took to the podium to address the game. And Mo, when I say that the media held no punches, I mean they held no punches. You can go look at it now on our TikTok page. They basically asked him, do you think you'll have a job tomorrow? And when he said he wasn't sure, do you think you deserve to have a job tomorrow? And when he said yes, they said, why? They held zero punches. Later on in the press conference, generic question. I didn't even see this coming. This shocked me, a reporter said, is there anything you could have done to have better prepared them for this game? Generic question that a team faces after a loss. And he gave the generic answer. No, I think that, we did everything to prepare, but I didn't do anything right. I failed them in all three aspects, right? Generic coach response. Follow up from the reporter. Well, if that's the case, why do you think you deserve to be the coach for this? What?
Which is a great follow-up question, by the way.
Sucked him right into that. He didn't see it coming. But to Staley's credit, he answered all the questions. He didn't get upset. He didn't look agitated. He looked like a man who's getting fired today. I think he had that very solemn, I know what's coming expression on his face. No word has come out yet. We don't know for sure if he's getting fired. Today, a report came out last week that he was being fired at the end of the season. So maybe the Chargers look at it and say, figure it out. Herbert's not even playing right now. Right. It is. At this point, we want the best draft pick. So we're not going to infuse someone the players like more in there and have them rally around him and they win a game that they probably shouldn't win. So let's just get, 4 more losses, 3 more losses, whatever it is, and get out of there. Mo, at this point, what do you even make of the Chargers organization? Because it was rough last night. 42 points in the first half to, let's be honest, a not great Raiders team. They got Buffalo next. That's scary.
It's scary because it looks like the players have just conceded. They've given in. And I don't want to get into because we love joking about this. They don't listen to him anymore. They don't.
Right. They need a new voice.
He's lost the locker room. You could argue he lost the locker room last season.
Right.
I look, in football, there are a lot of great defensive and offensive coordinators. Not every coordinator is a good head coach. It's just a fact. Not everybody is cut out to be a head coach. He is one of those guys. He is not a leader of men, and he will get another opportunity. It won't be as a head coach, but as a coordinator, he can be impactful in a positive way. He's definitely in over his head. As an organization, though, last night was just an embarrassment to me, not just for the players, but for the organization. And if you're Staley, as that game is playing out, you had to think. I think he got to the point, Chris, where he just resolved himself to, I know what the post-game press conference is going to be about. In his head, I think he already went over the questions and he already knew how to handle them. You said it, he looked like a man who knew he was getting fired. And if we make it through this day, if we make it through the weekend, and he's still the head coach, nobody will be more surprised than Staley. Having said that, I think you make also an excellent case. At this point of the season, they're not even thinking about winning. Why not? Why change? Why make a coaching change? Just ride out these last few games. They'll lose more, which improves your draft position. But why bring in an interim coach, like you said, and the guy turns around and does an Antonio Pierce and they win the last few games? You don't really want that. So I actually think that there's a chance that Staley rides out the season.
Following Cam Newton's comments yesterday, or maybe it was the day prior, about Dak Prescott, Brock Purdy, Tua Tagovailoa, and Jared Goff being game managers, there was this wave of support for Cam from former Carolina players, from former coaches, basically saying, and I'm going to paraphrase all of their comments and put it into one tidy little comment for you, Mo. Basically saying that if all these other analysts and non-football people can have an opinion about quarterbacks, why can't someone who actually played the position have an opinion without people tearing him down and trying to discredit his NFL career? And I hear that. I hear what they're saying, Mo, but here's my issue. Cam Newton didn't just offer an opinion. He inserted himself into the equation. So while saying quarterbacks like Dak and Tua and Jared and Brock aren't difference makers, aren't impact players, they're just game managers, he also alluded to the fact that he himself is opposite of that. He is an impact maker, and he is a difference maker.
100%. It was always, I didn't want to cut you off, but
no,
it was
you're
always,
good. You're good.
It was always about him. And
Correct.
that's what they're leaving out. He was always making it about him.
And I feel like, Mo, if you just want to make a statement, Cam, what is the state of the NFL quarterback today? What do you think of some of the MVP frontrunners? Oh, we got Dak up there. We got Brock. You know, honestly, guys, they're just game managers. They're not really difference makers. And then he can list his reasons why, and that's it. Great. You're just giving a take on them. This has nothing to do with you as a player. This has to do with your analysis of football based on your knowledge and you actually playing it. But when you juxtapose yourself next to them, I'm a game changer, I'm a difference maker, they're not. What are we going to do, Mo? We're going to say, well, wait a minute. Let's pull some numbers. Let's pull some facts. And let's see what they actually look like. And it wasn't good. The numbers, when you pull them, aren't great. So I'll say it again, like I said yesterday, Mo, this isn't taking a shot at Cam. He did amazing things as an NFL quarterback, but he was a highlight guy. Almost the way Josh Allen, in some respects, is becoming a highlight guy, because Josh Allen isn't winning MVPs. Josh Allen isn't getting the Super Bowls. I would argue that right now Cam's a leg up on Josh Allen, even though Josh Allen's stats probably blow Cam away in the passing game, but he doesn't have the accolades. He makes highlights, and then his teams underperform. At least Cam went to a Super Bowl. At least Cam won an MVP.
Correct.
But there was no team success involved in that outside of the blip. And the blip was the one season. Right. Mm-hmm. Outside of that, he was an average and in some senses a below average thrower of the football.
Right.
So I have no issue with Cam Newton or anybody who's played the game having a take, having an analysis, making a comparison. But if you're going to put yourself into the conversation, at least in my opinion, Mo, you open the door to your career being put up against their career, especially when you're going to say, I am, and they're not.
Right. And I think that's what's lost on the people who I guess are supporting him. I didn't feel like we were attacking him. I think we were pointing out what I thought was obvious, that he was making it about him, saying, I'm better than they are. And in another way, maybe a backhanded way, he was saying, why am I not still playing? Right. And you're not still playing because it's funny that he said that, because at the end of his career, he was a game manager, and he wasn't a good game manager. He was a bad football player. I'm not going to kill him. Cam Newton at his height was absolutely a difference maker. But he wasn't a difference maker for 7 or 8 years. He had 4 years, I would say, that he was at a really high level. And one blip year, like we said, where he was 35 touchdowns, 10 picks, took him to the Super Bowl, won the MVP, all those things, he earned that. These guys, if you look at the breadth of Dak Prescott's career, and I'm not a Dallas Cowboy fan, but I'm just talking about the breadth of his career, his numbers exceed Cam's numbers. Maybe not as a runner, but I'm talking about just as a thrower of the football. And you're right. You can make the Josh Allen comparisons. And look, for all his flaws, though, Josh Allen's better than Cam Newton. He didn't have an MVP, but he's better than Cam Newton. Now, he's as a dual threat, Cam was a better football player, because Cam was, at some point, you could argue he was Carolina's best running back. I mean, they were calling 15, 16 design runs per game, similar to what the Ravens do with Lamar. But the difference is, again, Cam's about 6'4", 6'5", 260. Like, that's a monstrous man to have that kind of speed and to be able to run through you. It was impressive. I just think that to me, and you pointed it out, you're criticizing these guys that are playing right now, saying what they're not, but you weren't doing it as an analyst, and you didn't just simply say, well, these guys are kind of game managers. They've done well, but look who they have around them, and just moved on, because that is a take. That's an opinion, and a lot of people have that opinion. You were making it about what Cam Newton was compared to what these guys are.
Also, let's be fair. because I'm all about being fair here on the morning show. When you are the quarterback of the Carolina Panthers, I'm sorry, it is different than being the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. It's not the same. Just being that title, quarterback of the Carolina Panthers, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. There is a different pressure that is associated with those two jobs.
That is a
when
fact.
You are a quarterback of a bad team, and make no mistake about it, Carolina is a poorly run franchise. It was then, it still is now. Cam Newton in his career, yeah, you're right, Mo. He had about 4 quality seasons. None of them were back-to-back. When he went 12-4, he followed it up by going 5-8-1. When he went 15-1, he followed it up by going 6-8. When he went 11-5, he followed it up by going 6-8. When he went 7-8 with New England, he followed it up by going back to Carolina. Oh, that wasn't even a winning season. But when he went 7-8 with New England, he followed up by going back to Carolina and losing his starting job and going 0-5. So actually, he only had 3 winning seasons as a quarterback, not 4. I gave him a bonus one yesterday. My bad. But in all 3 of his winning seasons, he followed up with a losing season. So he didn't even put together 3 consistent consecutive years.
Right.
They were 3 good years over 6 or 7 seasons. And then that's within the 11-year career. So he didn't even have the consistency that you would be looking for from a franchise quarterback. And Mo, this is in Carolina where you were given everything because you were the face of that franchise. They came to see you. So they designed runs because we want to see Cam run. Like they did things in Carolina that they wouldn't even have let you do in Dallas, because in Dallas, we need to win games. So in Dallas, we structure to win games. In Carolina, we need butts in the seat. We need to sell merchandise. We want to show off Cam Newton. And he did that. And it worked great, Mo. Wasn't he a great quarterback for the Carolina Panthers? I don't think he could have done that in Dallas. I don't think he could have done that in San Francisco with a defense that San Francisco has, where the expectation is you need to get into the playoffs and into the Super Bowl.
Correct.
When that's the expectation year after year, I don't think that's Cam Newton. And I know it sounds like I'm taking a shot at him, but it is what it is. Like when you look at the breadth of his career and what he was, I think he would have been less successful in Dallas. I think he would have been less successful in San Francisco. And that's when I'm already saying overall, he was average. And I think he would have been less if you brought him somewhere else. So, and that's not taking away from his playmaking ability. That's not taking away from the fact that he was a human highlight reel. But like you said yesterday, so was Michael Vick. What did that end with?
Right.
Not much.
Right.
Not much outside of the highlights, right? And Lamar is sometimes thrown into this conversation, although I think Lamar is better than both of them.
I agreed. I think so too.
But what has Lamar really accomplished?
And that will always hang over Lamar until he accomplishes it, right?
Correct. So, again, to go back to our original point, yes, everyone can have an opinion. But if you're going to put yourself into the conversation, Mo, you better not get upset when people start to say, wait a minute.
We can disagree. And look, I respect all current and former players because you're talking about people that play in sports at the highest level.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to get me to ever argue that point. My point is, though, if you're a former player, you can say things that I or you could never know, Chris, in terms of actually being on the field, talking about certain kind of coverages or how to break off a route. The whole nine, you can really break down things in that way, in a nuanced way. What I'm saying is, being a former player doesn't by default make any point you make the correct point. It's just your point of view. It doesn't mean by default because you played, you're right on all things football or NBA or any other sport.
And there's so many more logical ways to say it, Mo. Like, let's be honest. If you look at Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, we'll just stick with those two. And then you compare it to the 4 quarterbacks he was talking about. If he said something like, you know what, I watched Dak and Tua and Brock, and maybe once or twice a game, I see them make a throw where I'm like, ooh, okay. But then I watch Josh and Patrick Mahomes, and 8 or 9 or 10 times a game, they do something, and I'm like, oh, okay. You're right. You're 100% right. Now, the difference is Patrick Mahomes wins at a much higher clip than Josh Allen. But if it's the spectacular play you're looking for, you're not wrong when you say that guys like Brock and Tua and Jared, maybe once or twice a game, they'll do something where you're like, oh, okay. Or those other guys do it once or twice a quarter, right? So if that's where he was going, I get it. And you know what, Mo? That doesn't involve him. There's no need to put yourself in that conversation.
No. Look, Mahomes is the only guy I know that can go against his body and all of a sudden do a shovel pass 10 yards downfield and make it work. Like he's the only guy that can get away with playing street ball in the middle of a football game. That is unique unto him. Joe Burrow has a cannon for an arm and can make throws in windows that you shouldn't be able to make throws in. That is unique unto him. So, yes, when you talk about the upper echelon of the NFL quarterback position, those guys that he's talking about, they're not there. No argument at all. And as a athlete, as a playmaker, and I'm talking about as a playmaker, none of them will ever be what Cam was at his peak. I'm not arguing that. Very few people will be. He was a unique game maker at his peak.
And I would say the closest we've seen since him is Josh Allen, and that's just based on size. Cam and Josh are big guys that are athletic and mobile and can get around, and they're fast. And we just don't see that a lot at the quarterback position.
Agreed.
Mo, another big quarterback, not as athletic as Cam and Josh, was Big Ben, but he was still mobile for his size. He has his own podcast, and he also has opinions, and we also respect his opinions, but he didn't insert himself into his opinions. He was talking about how he has heard from players within the Pittsburgh Steelers organization that maybe they're giving up a little bit. Maybe there's some guys not trying as hard. And he said that a few weeks ago, and he got criticized for it, and he got slammed for it. Well, then after the loss to the New England Patriots, players in the organization have come out and alluded to the same things that Big Ben was talking about 3 or 4 weeks ago, which means, Mo, Ben seems to be still pretty tied into what's happening in Pittsburgh. Right. And maybe we should listen to what he has to say because, one, he's not inserting himself into the conversation. And two, he's just saying what he's heard. He's just putting out there and letting us do with it what we will. Obviously, Mike Tomlin's not going to agree with that. But I think the proof is in the pudding. And we've talked about this a lot this season with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And maybe it's the same thing that's happening to poor Brandon and the Chargers. Maybe they're just not hearing Mike the same way they used to, Maybe he needs to get a megaphone or something so they can hear what he's saying because he's trailing off or something. I don't know. But if you are the owner of the Steelers, is it time, Mo? Is it time to move off of Tomlin? Is it time to move off of Pickett? What needs to change? And I'll segue into this. The Steelers popped up yesterday with one of two teams being interested in Justin Fields, if he's available. So it already looks like internally the Steelers are trying to position themselves next season, realizing we're probably not going to be able to draft a good quarterback because we're not going to be there in the draft order.
Right.
If they're talking about trading for a quarterback, that means they're not really looking to give up assets to move up in the draft necessarily to get one of those top quarterbacks because they'd have to give up literally everything because they're going to be drafting somewhere in the 20s. So they don't got the juice to get to the top of the draft, but they might have the juice to get Justin Fields if the Bears go Caleb Williams. So let's start with the head coach. Do you bring back Mike Tomlin as your head coach if you are pretty set as the GM and the owner that you're going to have a new quarterback in the building next season?
I do think you bring back Mike Tomlin. Look, we always talk about winning solves all problems. In Mike Tomlin's case, he needs a franchise quarterback.
He's also never lost.
Right, but give the guy a franchise quarterback and watch them become Super Bowl contenders again. But he has not found, or they have not found, because he's not the GM, they have not found a replacement for Ben Roethlisberger. They just haven't done it, and they haven't come close to doing it. And in this era, if you don't have a franchise quarterback, 9 times out of 10, you're not a very good football team. You're just not. And in that division, when you look at what the Ravens are doing, the Browns, that's a competitive division, and Burrow will be back. You don't want to be at the bottom at that division and be a bottom dweller. You have to be able to compete. You need a quarterback. If they make him available, yes, if I'm the Steelers, I go after Justin Fields. I keep Mike Tomlin. Justin Fields will be an upgrade, and I think a huge upgrade over what they currently have. Even though I think he has his flaws, he's an upgrade over both the guys they have right now.
The other team that was mentioned as being potentially interested in Justin Fields, if he is available, are the Atlanta Falcons. Mo, couldn't you argue that Atlanta would be a better fit for Justin Fields, given the weapons that they currently already have and the system they currently run over there? They're inside, which is a big benefit to Justin Fields and his legs. That is
the better fit.
It is. So I think and again, obviously Justin, I mean, he could say he prefer to go to Atlanta, internally, but whoever presents the better offer is what the Bears should do.
Correct.
But I would argue that if it's between Atlanta and Pittsburgh, I would rather see him in Atlanta, because I think he's going to be set up better for success there, and he's going to be more electric in Atlanta than we're going to see him in Pittsburgh. And also, I mean, and I hate to do this to a fan base, but the Pittsburgh Steelers fan base, they have a certain personality, right? And I think Ben fit that personality great. I don't know if Justin Fields fits the mold of what the Pittsburgh Steelers fan base is. And they're
more blue collar, right?
Yeah, it's that blue collar. It's that every man's man kind of thing.
Yeah.
This isn't a knock on Justin Fields. I mean, if you put Justin Fields and Big Ben next to each other, I would say they're not the same dude. And I would say that for whatever reason, Pittsburgh leans towards the Big Ben dude aspect. And I think that's just another reason that Justin would do better in Atlanta. And again, like I said, no offense to Justin, I don't think Pickett comes anywhere close to Big Ben either. And again, I think that's another reason why it's not working. I think the fact that he was the hometown kid, that bought him as much as it did. And I think that's kind of worn out its welcome. And that's why they're kind of over him now. So for me, I hope Fields goes to Atlanta.
I think he'll shine in Atlanta. If that happens, if that manifests itself, I think Justin Fields will shine in Atlanta.
And let's be honest, when you're talking Ritter or Fields, you shouldn't really be talking at all.
There's no conversation to be had. You tell Ritter the same thing that's going to be told to Zach Wilson, like, good luck. It was nice having you on the roster. Good luck in your future. That's just the reality of it. Justin Ritter has had his chances. He's going to have a long NFL career, but it's probably going to be as a journeyman backup, more or less.
No, that sounds about right.
I think Fields still has a shot to be an impactful quarterback. And if you put him with the weapons that they have, because they already have weapons in place in that dome, Justin Fields he's gonna be exciting. He's gonna galvanize the Atlanta fan base. That would be a move that would work for Justin Fields for sure.
Mo, it's one thing when you or I or other people that talk football or other people in the NFL look at job openings and they say, ooh, don't know if you want to go there. Kind of crazy, a lot of dysfunction, maybe not the best choice for that coach to consider that opening, right? It's one thing when we say it. It's right. A little different when people who are currently working for an organization reach out to people who might be considering becoming a head coach next season and say, hey, just so you know, if you're thinking about coming here, let me tell you what it's like first so you know what you're getting into. And Mo, that's what's happening with the Carolina Panthers. Reports came out this week that current Carolina Panther employees have reached out to Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator of the Detroit Lions, and said, listen, let me tell you what it's like to work for this owner. Let me give you a real picture of it so you have all the clarity before you start making any decisions next season. That's a bad look, Mo. It's a bad look when people you are currently paying are reaching out to people and saying, don't come work here. you don't want to be a part of this. If I could leave, I probably would too.
That's insane that they're like literally saying, warning people like you don't want to come here. If you knew what I knew, that speaks volume to what people think of the front office and the leadership structure in that franchise. And whether you agree with what he said or not, if I'm being told that, I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna go, no, it's gotta be bad. It's gotta be really bad. Like let me pause a little bit. Maybe I'm good right where I'm at if that's the only other option.
And that's the thing that NFL fans need to understand. Yes, there's only 32 jobs in the NFL. There are only 32 opportunities to be a head coach in the NFL, but not all NFL jobs are built the same. And not all NFL jobs are going to garner the cream of the crop when it comes to coaching applicants. And that's just the way it is. We're expecting to have 7 or 8 jobs open for this next coaching cycle.
For sure.
And I guarantee you the names that are interviewing for the Chargers or the names that are interviewing for the Patriots are not going to be the same names that are interviewing for the Carolina Panthers. They're just not, because people look at the Panthers and they look at that organization and the owner and the leadership of that organization, and they look at the Kraft family, and they look at the weapons and the quarterback situation and the ownership in the Chargers, and they say, I don't want to be a part of that, because you don't want to go into a situation as a head coach, especially a first-year head coach, where you're almost destined to fail, because who knows if you get a second opportunity as a head coach. And if you're an experienced coach that's had success in the league, like a Bill Belichick, why would you go to a dumpster fire in Carolina?
And
That's just going to pile losses onto your overall coach. So they're not getting either of those. They're not getting the new looks because they want a chance to be successful, and they're scared that if I fail there, I may not get another one. They're not getting the veteran guys. So who are you getting? You're just getting guys that just want a job, that just want to be a head coach somewhere. And
that's exactly who they're getting. They're getting the guys who like, I've always wanted to be a head coach. Right? Here's my shot. And I get it. You got to take your opportunities. But if you take over that Carolina head coaching job and you look at that roster top to bottom, you might be a terrific coach, but you are fighting an uphill battle. You're setting yourself up for failure in the long run, right? You're a young, talented coach. And then a season later, when your team is 2-15 and you're beaten down, you realize, like, shouldn't have took this job.
And
that's the harsh reality.
Whoever the next coach of the Carolina Panthers is, you better love Bryce Young, because they've already said Bryce Young is their quarterback. They're committed to Bryce Young. So for at least the next 2 or 3 seasons, Bryce Young is probably the guy in Carolina. So whatever coach is coming in, if you don't like Bryce Young, I would suggest don't even apply, because that's not a battle or a war you want to start to create. And I would hope that Carolina wouldn't even hire somebody that isn't fully bought in on Bryce Young. But, we see Mike McCarthy over there in Dallas and all the lies that he told during his head coaching interview. So you don't want someone going there being like, oh, my God, I love Bryce Young. And then you find out 3 months later he actually can't stand the kid, and he's trying to, get someone else to be the quarterback. So that's what Carolina is looking at. But, Mo, let's transition to this. We had Roger Goodell talking this week, and he was talking rule changes for next season. And he was talking about how he has made no decision and he has no opinion of the tush push. So that should make Philadelphia fans happy, because that doesn't seem to be something that is on the radar of Roger Goodell as far as him feeling one way or the other about it. But what he did go on to say was he is not a fan of the hip drop tackle. And he went on to took it one step further and said that's something that we need to see leave the game. And, of course, the hip drop tackle, if you saw the Monday night game in Miami, that's how Tyreek got hurt. It's when the player kind of hugs your waist and then just they fall to the ground. And since they
With all
fall to
their
the
weight.
ground, you fall with them. Because when someone who's 240 plus pounds just drops all their weight on your lower body, most people cannot stand up with that. They're going to go down with them. And the issue with that is your legs get caught underneath that person. And that's how you're seeing leg injuries. That's how you're seeing ankle injuries, because you're getting rolled up by the guy who's tackling you. And it happens literally every time. If you just go back and you watch a highlight reel, and I don't know if these exist, but if you watch a highlight reel of hip drop tackles, on pretty much every tackle, you're seeing the person who's getting tacked's legs roll up under the guy who's tackling them. Because just physics, that's the way it works. You drop them, you're no longer in control of your body as the defender. You're just falling. And once they fall, where are their legs going to go? Down. And you're going down. So you're just landing on their legs. Mo, do you agree with Goodell that we need to get rid of that tackle?
I'm on board. Look, I don't agree with him about a lot of things, but on this, we're on the same page. Yes, that needs to be abolished from the game. If you're going to be consistent about player safety, then that's something that's got to go. Period.
Do you see this being a situation where people get flagged for it when it wasn't actually a hip drop tackle? Like, do you see this being a huge thing where you're watching, you're like, come on, that wasn't it?
It could be. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. But with any rule change, right, there's going to be those hiccups, right? In the moment, these bodies, 240, 250-pound bodies are moving at this rate. And in that moment, you might go, oh, flag. You know what? That's why you have a review and go, oh, there was no foul on the play or something like that. But, yeah, there's going to be some hiccups when you make a change like that. But I think it's a change nonetheless that needs to be made, because you're right. Every time I see a guy get rolled up, they either come away kind of slightly limping, or it's something even more serious, because it's just a dangerous play. And I'm not saying the guys doing it are dirty. They're trying to bring them down, and no one's told them that's wrong. But I'm saying, and I think the commissioner will agree, and the competition committee at some point will agree, it's not good for the game.
Before we get to our world-renowned Week 15 picks here, Mo, let's talk a little NBA basketball real quick. This has to do with your team, the Los Angeles Lakers. Charles Barkley came out yesterday and said, if the Lakers hang the in-season tournament banner, he is going to make it his job to rip them apart on national TV if they choose to do that. I feel we're at a little bit of a confliction here, Mo, because I think the NBA wants the banner to go up. I think the NBA needs the banner to go up because everything about the tournament to this point has been successful. The celebration when the Lakers won, the comments they made afterwards, LeBron's comments, AD's comments, everything has been good. But if the Lakers don't hang the banner, and despite everything looking good, if they don't actually acknowledge that they cared about it by putting the banner up at Staples, is it still called Staples?
No, I forgot the new name, but it hadn't been Staples in a long time. But yeah,
well, I'm gonna call it Staples. If they don't want to put the banner up, don't you look at it as the NBA and be like, oh, so you didn't actually care that much? And don't you look at it as fans and be like, oh, so it wasn't really that big of a deal if you're not going to hang the banner. Now, if I'm the NBA, maybe we just don't give you a banner and we avoid this problem altogether. Maybe there is no banner. You just get the trophy and you put the trophy case inside of your trophy thing in the stadium and you're good to go. What do you think? Should there be a banner hung up?
I think the league really wants the banner hung up. Like you said, the tournament has gone well, and they've pumped it up to be an event, a thing. You can't have the champion not acknowledging the tournament. I don't care about it being hoisted up. I think it's weird, though, to have the banner. Maybe if you're going to put it up, put it somewhere in the building where there are no other banners, because it doesn't need to be anywhere near any of those championship banners. They reside in totally different neighborhoods. So yes, put it across from them or something like that. If you need it, you need to have it put up, and that's fine. I know the league's going to push for it. I think the Lakers, Jeannie Buss and company will comply. And so they will go ahead and make some kind of celebration of it. And I get why Charles Barkley feels the way he does. Like I said, I enjoyed the tournament. I enjoyed everything about it. It did make some early in-season grind games more relevant to me. And the Lakers winning, obviously, that's my favorite team. It's fine that they won. It's an achievement. It's another feather in their cap, per se. They are the first. There is only one first. I agree with that statement. But it's not a championship. And I just want to remind people that it's a tournament championship, but that's not why they play. And if the Lakers come up short, if they lose, and let's just say the bottom line is they don't win the title, then it's a disappointing season, in my opinion. They don't play for in-season tournament banners. You play to become the NBA champion. You play because you want to unseat the Nuggets or whoever may meet if you make your way to the finals. That's why you play. And that's just my stance on it. I know where Silver is going, and I respect everything he's done for the league. I just don't feel like it's that big a deal.
I would argue that the title of regular season champion means more than the in-season tournament champion, because if you're the regular season champion, it impacts you. Your seeding, you get the number one
You're
seed.
number one seed, right?
You have an easier path to an NBA Finals title.
100%. You get to beat up on the 8th seed, right? Like,
right.
Who's clearly a lesser team. I'm with you.
I would argue, they don't give a banner for that. They don't give a trophy or anything for that. But I would argue if you're ranking the three champions in an NBA season, the finals champion, the regular season champion, and the in-season tournament champion, the tournament champion is almost irrelevant because it has no impact on anything that happens during the rest of the season. Or at least if you have the best record in the regular season, it's setting you up to be closer to winning the chip at the end of the season. So I say go put it up on the practice court. That's where I think in-season tournament banners should go. They're like you said, they're far away from the real championship banners. They're not even in the same room. I don't even think they should be in the corner. I think there should be distance between those things. Put it up in the practice facility. If you have two courts, put it on the separate court. If you don't have two courts because you can't afford two courts, go put it in the lobby or something. Right. But it shouldn't be above the court you play on.
Right. Look, and remember what the franchise we're talking about. They've got photos and statues, and we're talking about Kobe, Shaq, Wilt, Kareem, Magic. I could keep going. You know what I'm saying? And now LeBron, and that doesn't belong anywhere near any of them. It just doesn't. It is an achievement, but they're professional basketball players, and the mindset is to win an NBA title. And I just want to keep the Laker Nation focused on, if we don't win the NBA title, I'm not going to be talking about, we got that in-season tournament title, so all's not lost. All is lost. I would rather Indiana win that, beat us, and we win the NBA. You know what I'm saying? See the trade-off? I'd rather be the champion of the league than the in-season tournament champion. You think the Nuggets are like, man, we should have won that in-season tournament championship. That would have carried more weight than the championship. They're not doing that. If
the Lakers get bounced in the first round of the playoffs, LeBron's not going to be like, well, you know what, guys? We got that banner right there.
Right.
So it's a successful season.
He's not going to say like, well, look, we got bounced from the playoffs, but we are having the in-season tournament parade later on. So we're good. No.
All right, well, let's get to week 15. We got games on Saturday. We got games on Sunday. We got a game on Monday. We got 3 days of football coming up. It kicks off tomorrow on Saturday with the Vikings and the Bengals. This has playoff implications written all over it. The Vikings are 7-6. The Bengals are 7-6. Both are trying to keep pace with the wild card. Both are most likely not going to contend for their division titles. Detroit and Baltimore have healthy leads on both of them. But this could add some clarity when it comes to the wild card race for whatever team loses Who do you like here, Vikings or Bengals?
I'm going with Bengals. You know what? And look, plus they benched our guy. So
I know.
the Josh Dobbs train's over, so they benched one of our guys. So all we have now is Baker. So if you look at the way the Bengals offense has looked the last couple of weeks, you feel like you're watching mini Joe Burrow out there.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go with mini Joe in the Bengals to win.
I like that. We're going to coin that right here in the morning show. Mini Joe all the way. I'm taking the Bengals as well. The second matchup on Saturday, again, they did this on purpose. It's another playoff potential matchup here. The 7-6 Steelers, the 7-6 Colts. One of them is going to take a step closer to a wild card in the AFC. The other is most likely going to fall behind the pack. I'm going to go Colts here. I think there's just too much dysfunction happening with the Steelers right now. I don't think Pickett's starting. I think it's still Trubisky in there this weekend, but I literally have no idea. Even if Pickett was starting, I would still go with the Colts.
I want to go with Colts. Actually, I don't. The truth is, I'm such a Mike Tomlin guy. I want Coach Tomlin to win. I do. Now, I can't will it, but I'm going to go ahead and pick this. I think he can galvanize them, and they can find a way to turn Minshew over a couple of times. I'm going to pick the Steelers in a low-scoring game.
Another AFC wildcard contender, the 7-6 Broncos have a potentially tough matchup on paper with the 9-4 Lions. However, Mo, the Lions have been trending in the wrong direction, and it's worth pointing out the Broncos here have the worst run defense in the league. The Lions have two very capable running backs. So for that reason, I am going Detroit because I think we're going to see a different version of the Lions this week. I don't think we're going to see Jared Goff throwing it all over the yard. I think we're going to see the Lions come out and be very deliberate with their offense. I think they're going to try to hang on to the ball for an extended period of time. I think they're going to try to grind it out in the running game. I think they're just going to try to keep the ball out of Russell Wilson's hands, not because Russ can go up and down the field, because he cannot, but because they just don't want Goff throwing the ball around, because he's literally turned into a turnover machine as of late. If they're able to get the running game going, and if it's able to limit Russell Wilson's opportunities, I think that's a huge issue, because Russ needs 7 or 8 drives to score 14 points. I don't know if Russ can score 21 points on 3 drives. I don't know if he can score every drive like he might need to if they're playing a time possession game. So for those reasons, I'm going to go Lions to get their 10th win.
I'm actually going to go Broncos. I agree with all your points, and you're right. The Broncos.
I tried to convince you. I thought I laid it out.
You did. The Broncos' rush defense is a concern, but what they're excellent at doing, they're excellent at punching the ball out, creating turnovers.
That's true.
So you could run for $150, $160 on them and still lose the ball a couple of times. So I think they're going to create a couple turnovers. I'm going to book Goff for at least another pick because I feel that he's starting to feel pressure. I feel he's feeling a pressure. And if they lose against the Broncos, the division is not done yet. All of a sudden, you're starting to hear those ghosts coming up. So I think I agree. It's a big game for Detroit, but it's a big game filled with a lot of pressure. I don't like Denver's offense. I've told you this 1,000 times, but at the same time, I can't deny that Sean Payton's system, at least the way he's corralling Russell Wilson, seems to have worked. I'm going to go with the Broncos in a low-scoring game.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but the still potentially playoff-bound Chicago Bears at 5-8. They are only a game out of the wild card. They have won 3 games in a row. They are playing the Cleveland Browns, who, on their 4th quarterback, who they just officially signed Joe Flacco to a contract, meaning that he will be on the playoff roster if they get there. It's the Bears and the Browns. Mo, I don't know why. I can't believe I'm saying this.
You're going Bears, aren't you?
Bears. Because they've won 3, and I know the Browns have a good defense, and I've been impressed with what Flacco has done, but we've seen wonkier things happen in the NFL this season, and I don't know. I don't know if the Browns can just consistently keep chugging along with all the diversity they're facing over there. So I think they're going to have a hiccup, and I think the Bears are going to pull it out.
Man, like I said, this season has been a season of stories. So I'm going to ride the Joe Flacco story. I'm going to ride the story out. Flacco gives them the best chance to win because they open up the entire playbook when he's under center. And suddenly their tight end has become one of the best tight ends of football because Flacco discovered we got a tight end. And I think that he's going to hit him in the seams and the intermediate routes. So I'm going to go with Cleveland in an entertaining football game.
The Baker train is battling in the Bays when the Tampa Bay Buccaneers face off against the Green Bay Packers. If you watch the show, you know where we're both going here. It's Baker time, baby. I think Baker gets the Bucs back to 7-7. They maintain their division lead and potentially grow it, depending on what the Saints and the Falcons do this week.
Right. You already know this is not even a long decision. Baker train. I'm on board for it. I want to hear him in the post-game interviews. I can't wait.
The Chiefs and the Patriots play this week. No one really cares unless you're a Patriots fan. I think the Chiefs are going to absolutely roll them. I know the Chiefs are struggling. I know they have issues. They're going to take all their frustrations out on the New England Patriots. The Patriots are not going to score 21 points in this game. It's going to look like they did in the second half of last week's game. It's going to be short drives, inconsistent drives, and if they score 10, they should be considered lucky. I think the Chiefs are going to roll.
Conventional wisdom tells us that Kansas City will respond with a big game. I feel like they're gonna win the game, but I
thought you were going Zappy here.
No, I'm never gonna take the punter. No, I feel like they're gonna win the game, but I think it's gonna be a close game.
All right, fair enough. The 6-7 Falcons are trying to keep pace with the Baker train. I think they're going to. They're playing the Panthers. Yes, could the Falcons lose to the Panthers? Absolutely, they are that team. I don't think it's going to happen. That's just how bad the Carolina Panthers are. Yeah. I think the Falcons get to 7-7. I think this game is probably closer at parts than the Falcons think it's going to be. But I think Atlanta wins this one.
I'm taking Atlanta as well. Look, Carolina's, we've said it, is a dumpster fire. If Atlanta loses this football game, look, if they lose this football game, somebody should be fired, period. Somebody should be fired.
Tommy Cutlets is
become this legend now, right?
He's still looking for a playoff spot as Tommy Cutlets. They have to knock off the Saints to do it. The Giants are in the same position as the Bears. They're 5-8, but they're only a game out of the wild card. But there's a slew of teams ahead of them. But the point is, Mo, there's still hope. And that means you can't lose. And you have to start not losing by beating the Saints. Now, we know they got the Eagles coming up twice later on, but we're not going to worry about that. We're just going to worry about the Saints this week. I think for at least one more week.
You're going Cutlets?
Cutlets rides for one more week before the Eagles beat the stuffing out of them.
I have bet on the Saints, and you know I've made no secret I'm not a Derek Carr fan. I'm not betting on the Saints anymore, man.
Nope, don't do it.
I'm not betting on the guy that his teammates can't stand him. Yep. It's strange, though, right? Beloved in the Raider locker room. And I have no idea what's going on, but all I know is the most interesting thing about the Saints is watching Derek Carr talk to himself now.
And they let him. There's no one else talks to him.
Right.
So right. If there's a voice that isn't being heard anymore, it's Derek Carr's.
That's a good point. That's an excellent point. I'm gonna go with Cutlets too. He's actually played really well, but if you're not noticing what the Giants have done, that defense has woken up. They're playing excellent football. So I think Cutlets, I'm with you, at least for this week, he pulls out another one.
The Tennessee Titans are coming off an upset of the Miami Dolphins. They are playing the Houston Texans, who are trying to rebound. They are injury-ridden right now. C.J. Stroud was in concussion protocol. I'm not sure where he is in that process. They lost one wide receiver for the season. They lost their second wide receiver to a hamstring injury. He is questionable. I believe he's actually doubtful for the game this Sunday. Despite all of that, I don't think Tennessee wins back-to-back games. So I'm going to go Houston in a close one. I think it's going to be ugly, even if Davis Mills is their starting quarterback. But I think Houston keeps their slim playoff hopes alive.
I'm gonna go Tennessee. I'm gonna go Tennessee. I just think that as good as D'Amico Ryans has built this team up, motivated them, they have suffered some devastating losses on both sides of the football. And I just think that's too much. Their two best wide receivers are gone. I think they've got a couple of linemen out. Your quarterback was in concussion protocol. They've had a great season for his first year as a head coach and Stroud's first year in the league. I just think Tennessee finds a way to win an ugly football game.
49ers are 12-point favorites against the Cardinals. I don't think this is going to be a close game. I'm not going to give the Cardinals much credit here. I think you're going to see Kyler get some garbage time stats in the fourth quarter when they're already down by 3 scores. I'm going Niners to kind of easily cruise to 11-3 and keep the pressure on the rest of the NFC.
I think the Niners win a workmanlike game. Maybe not the biggest blowout as you think, but I'm thinking something like 27-10.
The Commanders and the Rams. I'm not on. There's no train right now for the Rams. If there was, I would be considering taking a tour on it.
It's close.
It's close. I do think the Rams win this game and get to 7-7 and keep themselves firmly implanted in that wild card position.
The passing game that nobody talks about really in the NFL is Matthew Stafford and his receiving core.
Yep.
And
a very good receiving core.
Yeah. Maybe. Yeah. I'm with you. Look, I think the Rams win, period. They are a tough match. And if you've been watching them, I know you started this out. I always give you credit. I've been watching them, and trust me, I saw what they did to the Niners. That's a scary offense, period. I'll leave it at that, but I'm going with the Rams.
And they got that young running back there, Williams, doing his thing. Like, this is a complete offense.
Williams is going to rush for about 1,200 yards this season. He's nice.
Yeah. The Ravens and the Jaguars are Sunday night. Everything says that the Ravens should win this game, so I'm going Jaguars. And it has nothing to do with the fact that the Miami Dolphins need the Baltimore Ravens to lose.
No, I hear you. You know what? I'm going to go with the Ravens. I just don't trust the Jaguars. I don't.
Me neither, which is why they're going to win.
Okay. Agree to disagree, partner, but I'm going to go with the Ravens.
And then Monday night, we have the Eagles and the Seahawks. We will pick that game on Monday. Mo, we didn't agree on a lot this week. It's going to be interesting. Hey, here's what we did. We decided to split it down the middle. And that way we can't be completely wrong.
Well, I was getting ready to say, the way this works is we're going to be half right and half wrong. There's a balance there.
Correct. So many great playoff matchups going on this weekend for potential playoff teams. We'll see if there's clarity coming out of this week. There hasn't been the past 2 weeks. It's basically been 11 teams in the AFC for 2 or 3 weeks now. We'll see if we can whittle that down a little bit. And I think it's 11 or 12 because you got those 5 and 8 teams hanging around technically in the NFC. So we'll see if we can get down to maybe 9 contenders.
9
heading into week 16. Also, good luck to everyone out there who has their fantasy football playoffs starting this week. Not to brag, I have buys in both of my leagues, so I have nothing to worry about this week.
Look at this guy.
Just saying. So I'm good there. But I know some of you are a little stressed out this week. You don't want to get knocked out. So I wish you luck. I will have that stress next week. Mo, great show. What a way to close out the week. Take us to the end, sir.
Hey, thank you for everybody out there that makes us a part of your morning every morning. Thank you for everybody in the chat. Appreciate, love the support. Check out all the great content that we have to offer on Sports Empire Network. Check out the Empire.
We'll be back here Monday morning. We'll have JG with us. We'll be breaking down everything that happened over the weekend in the NFL. We'll be talking about Eagles and Seahawks on Monday night and what that matchup is going to look like. Make sure you are with us Monday morning, same time, same place. It's Coffee and Sports here on Sports Empire Network, and we will see all of you on Monday.
I mean, you can see right now, without LeBron, Lakers are struggling.
Let me tell you about the team I hate, all right? I know the Dallas Cowboy fan is here, so I had to make sure he knew how much I hate this team.
I'm ready. I've often said that the people who run baseball, they try very hard to ruin it.
I'm from Brooklyn. I don't have a problem saying it to his face. Oh, I'm from Brooklyn. Hey, you guys any